Good evening, friends. Good evening, free humans. And good evening, all the friendlies around. Around me, around you, and around the planet. Yes, we have a lot of friendlies floating around, not really knowing what they're doing. Or us, we don't even know that they're there. They want to be friendly, so how we deal with them? Do we accept the gifts they are carrying? Or we just let them in without invitation? Let them do all the neat tricks they can do, like aliens can do? So, did you notice that the so-called fake history that we experiencing, it's always teaching us how and with what the victorious side won. What kind of weapons they used, what kind of tactics they used to defeat the enemy. The enemy of the people, so-called, the enemy of the state, and most of all, the enemy of the crown, the enemy of the religion. So, what's happening in recent days? What kind of enemies that we have? In America, in Europe, they want to present the Muslims as a worse enemy. Yet, they're not the Muslims. They're just desperate robots who are invading your country. So what to do with these? Invite them because they suffer in their country. Or let them know that they cannot do this anymore, because they did for the last 20, 30, 40 years, depending on the country, and completely infiltrated the population from within, so they can create even more animosity between the people who live in a certain country, let's say France. Where now France has more enemies among themselves than themselves alone. Creating enemy was the only perspective of all these creatures who are sitting in the shades, behind the shades and in the shadows of every single political and economical systems. Nobody is allowed to question them, nobody is allowed to challenge them, because they know if they become public or in the open, what's happened to them? They become exposed for what they are. They are the true enemy of every single human being on the planet, because this is the tactique. They were using it for honestly hundreds of thousands of years. Sitting in the background, pretending sometimes in the forefront, like a royals, like a religion leaders, they're actually meaning well, and in the same time creating animosity with another party. Doesn't matter. Muslims, Jewish, blacks, Serbians, and so on. Russians at the present time. Let me just state the title for beginning. Enemies? Do you still have any while you forgot how to make a friend? Sounds very easy title, yet it's quite complex because we have been taught a lie. We have been always taught that we have to fight our enemies. We always cherished the patriots who goes in the war. They kill the many other side of the humans. They ruin their planes or whatever. So these are the patriots who kill the most. Yet nobody taught in the schools or later through the history of our education that every war really has a deeper motive. So what and how this has been taught is that we perpetually continue living our history over and over again and not willing to change. Not willing to change our attitude towards this. So we always live in the notion that we have an enemy. Sometimes it's outside enemy of the state, sometimes it's within the state, but never state itself is our enemy. That is perpetuating fights between us, individual human beings, or smaller tribal groups, or different sects, different religions, different opinions. We were not actually allowed to have a different opinion, but to fight for our own opinion, because our opinion is much more wiser and clever than whoever else. So to prove that our opinion is right, we have to go and attack the other one. There was the very falsy approach, very false teaching, that we have to outgrow, we have to get it out of our system and out of our history books, out of our political behavior, out of our sociological behavior. There is nothing wrong in notion that a human defend its own house, defend its own city, defends its own state, nation, country. Yet always question, whoever comes and to bring the war to your door is the one who doesn't want to negotiate in any ways. They just want their opinion to be taken for granted, and everybody else is their enemy. It's very easy to create by these actions enemies all the time. And this was our way of living. So we basically just surviving. Very hidden enemy that nobody talks much about this. It's our manhood, our livelihood, that we've been threatened daily by becoming more poor, by paying more taxes, by doing competition between you and your colleague, your friend, your family member, to get a better job, to pay more, to be paid more, to pay less, to pay more taxes. So when you see this tax wedge in between two people is so severe, yet it's so hidden that nobody want to pay attention to it, and people continue fighting for the better job, bigger car, bigger ego, more fame, whatever crap that even couple, they get married. Consensually, both of them decide to get married. So why they need a third party to get them divorced if they are not for each other? And what these divorce lawyers are mostly talking about, how they will divide their common wealth or common creation that they created through life living together. So these are dividers, these frigging lawyers. Yet nobody is treating them like this. They're always the most wise and very, I cannot even say how people are cherishing these creatures without considering how much damage they're doing to their own well-being, their children's well-being, and to their own wealth. Because these guys are paid no matter what. No matter which side wins, male or female, left side or right side, lawyers, advocates are always winning. So these are like warmongers in any war. They will give a gold to both sides, and they will take a claim on both sides on their own lands, whatever they have at the moment, whatever assets they have. And they would allow them to go and fight and give them even more gold, because people think that they have to create a gold to go to conquer somebody else. So to get more gold that actually is their country deserving for, let's say, number of the people, they have to go and fabricate it or steal it from somebody else. what's happened in the present time, just my opinion, that we have truly an invasion, like Ottoman Empire did for almost 400 years in 14th, 15th, 16th century, and they totally put in a disarray all this small little cities, state cities. They lived quite, let's say, wealthy or peacefully on the Mediterranean, on the Greek and Yugoslavian areas, and like all like east area. They were just swamped by Ottoman Empire, like Turkish Ottoman Empire, because these guys, for some reason, they thought that this is what they're going to do no matter what. They don't need friends. They just need vassals. They need like slaves, and they need women to give them birth to their own bastards who will fight for them again. And it was one of the most disturbing techniques how to conquer a nation with their own people, with their own children. This is happening right now as well. Europe is swamped with so-called Muslims. I call them invaders, no matter name. They're not even Muslims. They have no religious connotations whatsoever, yet they're all dark skinned. They're all invading another people's lands without actually trying to negotiate anything. If I'm asking you for help, genuinely, I would not go into your home and just demand that I have to be paid no matter what, the welfare or social help or some kind of refugee status, and then you have to take care of me. No, I would wait very honorably to tell that you can tell me, are you willing to help me, and for how much or for with what. So this is what we now seeing. This is not the case. These really, some of them are quite well organized terrorist foundations. They would try to completely dismember European states outside of their, let's say, peacefulness and friendship relationship with your neighbor, their neighbors. Just watch what's happening. Watch a little bit behind the lines. Don't go just front and read and believe whatever they say. Take it a little bit deeper examination of why these things are happening. Why these creatures, invaders, cannot make a friend. Because they are not moral enough or integral enough to ask for help. They just want to take it what is not theirs. They just want to invade. They just want to do the harm no matter what. So outside of this kind of notion, we are not only in sociological parts, we are involved in this kind of like historical mistake that we've been taught about the war, about oppression, about depression. Why depression is happening? Financial depression, economical depression, and psychological depression in the human being or in the nation. When you see all the nation was depressed in 30s. Because we cannot go on the roller coaster, up and down, like this is not the way. I mean, this is a way of the dark that's teaching us to almost like breeding us into aggressive behavior, whoever want to take away from you anything that you claim that it's yours. So I ask you a simple question. Would you go into the marriage with a woman or with a man that you never met, that is prearranged? Many, I'm thinking billions of people are doing it on this planet. Is this really fair and friendly or a humane behavior towards both parties in this marriage? And plus, who's the one who's deciding who's going to marry who? So same thing happening on the national scale, on the country scale, between continents even. Suddenly, Northern Africa is evacuating because there is a big mess there. Yet who brought this mess? Some of the dark controllers who control NATO, UN, and some American CIA creeps who are just making profits there. Because they cannot make huge profits from a peaceful nations and peaceful tribes who live with the neighbors in a very friendly relationships. So title is kind of simple, but it's directing me to tell you, try to make friends whenever you are, even if they look the worst enemy of yours. I give friendly suggestions. That's all. In any aspect that I come across. Is it for your healing? Is it for your finances? Is it for your relationship life? I cannot even advise you, because it's up to you to make a call. What you want to do with my suggestions. Trump is doing the same. Assange is doing the same. We are putting little gems on your path. Is it information? Is it, a joke, a wisdom, or executive orders that the Trump is doing? And it's up to you to take them seriously and see what these going to bring you. Are they going to make you closer to your enemies? And try to really renegotiate peacefully any of your disagreements through the history? Or are you just going to continue same old ways, the fight and the flight mode, where you strike first and then you start running, or you infiltrate in another field and start killing everybody else, hoping this will bring the peaceful resolution? Of course it will not. So whoever of these so-called war teachers or strategy educators or war and peace kind of approachers, these freaks are absolutely pushing you to become slave more than you were ever before. Is it delusion? Is this all the illusionary world that we live in? Or we can just grab our enemies very close, as my father was giving me a very wise suggestion. Stand to me like a meter away, and he says, try to hit me now. And I was a meter away from him. We're on a judo ring or mat. And I tried to hit him, and I almost reached him. I tried to hit him for real. Yet he says, okay, now you almost hit me. So he comes closer and tried to hit me now. And as soon as I put my hand out, he put his on my shoulder and I was blocked. He didn't retaliate. He just blocked my movement. And he comes very close to me and put his arms around me and actually holding my hands tight against my body and says, hit me. And I was like, but I can't. So, see, we can be friendly. So there is no reason actually to fight anybody. If you find enough strength to trust in your guts that you are a true light. You're not a fake dark light who almost by default goes into the fight mode no matter what. True light just shines and stays there. And increase a bit more when it sees that this darkness doesn't let go. It comes closer and closer and closer. And it just shines.